Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to my channel. My name is Geneva, also known as Peace Love Jen or Jen, and you are here on my YouTube channel. And I am here with Hannah Dolan, who is also a contestant on Survivor Syracuse Season 2 Snakes and Secrets. And Hannah and I, just wanted to talk a bit about episode 1, what we thought, our feelings, and give you guys, our perspective on the season. And thank you so much, Chelsea, who's in the comments giving us that woo. We love that. We love to see that. So we thank you for your support. So Hannah, how are you? How's it going?
I'm doing good. I was a little nervous for this to finally come out. I think we thought it was going to come out in August or July, and then it was this week. It kind of snuck up on us, and I was pretty satisfied with the first product that is our first episode. Yeah, I'm not too embarrassed yet, so
that's good. That is definitely good. Yeah, I think for me, I remember a lot of my friends at Maxwell. So I did my master's in public administration at Syracuse. It was like a 12-month program, as some people know. And I feel like with that, it was interesting because I did have a lot of friends who were hear me talking about the season for the entire semester. And they really wanted to watch like the premiere with me, but obviously things happened. The premiere date got pushed back. So I wasn't even in Syracuse for the end of my semester. I finished my Syracuse experience on Zoom at home. So it was quite a year, definitely. But I'm glad we finally premiered, and I'm super happy that we can talk about the first episode.
Yeah, and then hopefully it was nice to see everyone's faces again, because we never had that. We haven't had that like reunion yet. And this semester just kind of ended in a strange way. So it's going to be neat to see, to look back upon memory lane. So yeah, episode 1, the first shots is just me in my bedroom, which I thought there'd be. I was expecting something like that, but it was pretty cool. They picked some pretty cool footage of me, so I was like, oh, okay.
So Hannah, I kind of actually wanted you to touch on that a bit. What led you to that moment? What was the preseason journey like for you, especially leading up to the meet and greet? I was just curious to kind of know what your backstory was in that sort of situation.
Ooh, okay, so yeah. So I got the word about Survivor Syracuse from my big Amelia. She handed me a pamphlet, and I was like, yes, I'm such a fan. I will do this. And then, so I help out on production for season 1 a bit. And then I apply, I get in. And I think during my interview, I'm like, wait, could somebody like make fake idols and like use real clues? So initially I was going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go out every night. I'm going to find the real idols, and then I'm going to put fake ones in their place. But then I was like, or we could just make fake ones with fake clues and just totally scam people, because like nobody knows what we're going into.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because at that point, when did season 1 come out? I think season 1 didn't premiere until that semester. And so we didn't know what idols would look like. We didn't know where they'd be hidden. We didn't know what the clue, like with the paper, the official paper that says congrats, you found a hidden immunity idol, would look like. So I was like, I just wanted to have fun. Yeah, basically the idea was to sabotage my castaways before I even met them. And I made 5. So I was like watching Survivor reruns. I was watching the Survivor Heroes versus Villains. And while I was doing that, I just got some strings and some beads, and I made 5 fake idols. And then I made a little printout that said, congrats, you found it. I copied and pasted this, the logo, our Survivor Syracuse logo, and I put it on the paper. So it looked pretty official.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, as we saw in this episode, they've been hidden around campus, and it looks like Mike found one of them. So that's exciting to see happen. Definitely, that's really that's
no, absolutely.
Like,
so
before there's even a real idol found in this game, we had a fake be found, and I think that's crazy.
Well, I do think it's kind of funny considering, I mean, the way we knew things were going to happen, it was you would get an idol clue if your tribe won immunity. So, I think from, I guess, Mike seeing that there was a clue randomly at the challenge, it's like, oh, well, maybe now this is my chance to find an idol without us winning a challenge. So I'm very interested to see if Mike will decide to play the fake idol in the future. I think it will be interesting to see, but obviously I don't really know. And I think for me, obviously we didn't see much of me on this episode, which is fine because I tried community, and we'll get more into that and we'll talk more about the challenge, of course. And yeah, so for me, I'd say preseason, I applied because I actually went to the organization fair, like the student activities fair. I just walked around the entire quad on campus, just saw what activities were there. Now, the thing is, I'm a grad student, so I literally went up to tables and said, is it frowned upon for a grad student becoming up to ask to be part of these organizations? And more often than not, they would just look at me weird and were confused that I was a grad student and I wanted to do an organization. But a lot of the time, a lot of people were like, no, we'd love to see you join. Like, that's great. And initially, when I saw the Syrvivor table, I was saying to myself, maybe I'll just do production. I've always kind of wanted to do the behind the scenes thing. That'd be super cool. But then when casting happened, well, thank you, Hannah. But when casting was happening and people were applying, I was just like, why don't I just try it out? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, the worst that could happen, I'd be the first voted out. But fortunately, that did not happen. So
that did not happen. Congrats, you made it one tribal.
Yeah, and it's exciting.
You're not the first boot. I'm not the first boot.
It's good. It's good. Yeah. It's definitely a good thing. Yeah, and for me, I was just kind of like, well, it would be a good way to make friends outside of Maxwell because I really only have friends within the Maxwell School, my program, and programs that surround it. So I figured it would be cool to get to know, undergrads. And so, that's how I met Hannah, and to get to know other people from other parts of campus, a variety of different backgrounds. And, at Maxwell, I do have classmates who were 21 and classmates in their 30s. So I did see a variety of backgrounds within my grad program, but I also figured that would be cool to make new friends. So that was also another reason why I decided to sign up. I figured it would be fun and to try out my social and strategic mind because I never played in any sort of either online reality game or live reality game or anything of that sort. So that's kind of what led me to it.
Honestly, watching college survivors, they look so fun especially on the outside. So it was definitely something that I think I was attracted to, that I definitely wanted to give a try. And going back to preseason, so did you, Geneva, did you know anyone coming in, or did you do any recon to kind of suss anyone out before you came into the game? Because I think something that I think is apparent in my game is that I was super excited. I could not wait. So and I think my gameplay out of the gate reflects that. So did you know anybody?
So I did not know anybody. I think because I was one of the only graduate students in the game aside from Nassan, I knew that the odds of me knowing somebody in the game would be basically slim to none. But when I went through the casting process, I did take note of the people who went through the interviews. And I had noticed that Survivor Syracuse was following certain people, those people probably being on the cast. So I compared notes and noticed, okay, this person was likely cast. They're probably going to be on my season. So I had a sense of some names. I didn't really know anything about these people, but that was the extent. And then prior to, the day before the semester, I actually came back on New Year's Day because I had to take this 7-day long course that was 6 hours a day, public administration and law. So that was very intense, super crazy. So I was very excited to do something that was not school a couple days later. And so that's kind of what I think led me to show up to Hall of Languages and the meet and greet.
Yeah, which I mean, like, I think there was people that came late, which I was like, why are they coming late? Because I was too early. Anyway, but I think that, I first saw your face and read your name going through the Instagram and saying, okay, who does Luke follow? Who does Survivor Syracuse follow? Oh, that would be a great person to play. And then when you showed up first day, I was like, I see. And that was a fun way, like when I knew people's names before even, like, so yeah, let's talk about the meet and greet. So people just, people kind of just like start walking in, and production is just hanging out. So I think I was the second person there, and Megan was there. And so I just, we just start chatting it up, and then people come in one by one, and we form like a circle and like do icebreakers.
Yeah, I was the third person there. So when I got there, Megan and Hannah were there. I started talking to them, and the circle got a bit bigger. And literally every time someone come in, to be like, "Hey, what's your name? What's your major? What class year are you?" I remember a lot of people were talking, and at first people thought maybe it was like a freshman versus season.
There were so many freshmen, and I think you'll see as the season progresses, they're like all freshmen. And I was a sophomore at the time. And then, there's, I don't think we have we didn't have really one senior. And then we had you and Nissan, the two grad students.
Yeah, we had a couple of juniors, a couple of sophomores, but mostly freshmen. That's kind of what
I think maybe their initial concept was something having to do with that. But I think they scratched that in favor of secret snakes and secrets.
Which in the end, I think I like the theme. I like that it was I was unsure what to think about it, definitely. But when Luke approached it, and brought it up, I was like, this concept sounds interesting.
Yeah, and it takes a really interesting role this first episode. The twist, and how we the players try to navigate that. But before we move on, I will say, so Luke is like, okay, the meet and greet is going to be in 107 of the Hall of Languages. And so I go and I put a clue to a fake hidden immunity idol on the bulletin board. And so when I get there, I'm hoping that someone is observant, because I think one of the things that I appreciate in these games is when when there's like equal opportunity, it's just like who has their eye out for those advantages, who has their eye out for those idols. Like, it sucks if your tribe loses and you didn't really do anything, and then you never have a shot to get out from the bottom. So I think it's so fun when there's like advantages hidden under tables and stuff. But this, I realized when I went out there to do my confessional, no one had found the clue. So I moved it on top of the water fountain, and sure enough, Mike ends up finding it. So that was just funny. If you guys kind of got a sense of what was going on there.
Yeah, it was definitely quite interesting. So I guess what we can next talk about is what Luke describes snakes and secrets to be, and then how tribes were designated and how you were split onto those tribes.
Yeah. Yeah, so the twist, right? The losing tribe, they each draw a card, and there's one card that is all the cards are blank except for one, and that one is a snake. And the snake, if you eliminate them, your tribe as a whole gets an advantage in the next immunity challenge. But if they survive and they claim it at the next challenge, say I was the snake and I lied to you all week, basically, then they get an advantage or a power or some kind of, like, I think at first we thought, oh, is it going to be like a secret? Like, is it going to be a secret from like some dirt on some, I don't, like something like that. So I don't think anyone really knew like what that kind of advantage would entail, or how powerful it could be. And I think that's what we're going to see next episode. But yeah, and then if you don't claim it, the advantage goes to someone randomly on the other tribe. So it's like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because are you really about to give an advantage to somebody that you don't know and you don't know where it's going?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like
you could literally give someone like that advantage that you didn't claim could literally go to someone, get them an idol, and then they idol you out in the future. Like it could really come back to bite you.
Yeah. And I think that's where it becomes difficult, because it's like, first of all, it's like, do you tell anybody that you're the snake? Do you keep it a secret? Do you, what is the best method for your game? I think obviously I think maybe in the earlier rounds of the season, I think it probably makes more sense to keep it a secret, because you don't want someone to find an easy way to vote you out. I feel like that is an easy excuse.
We see in this first episode, Derek lies and then comes clean. But what really, and he would have gotten away with it, I think, if he knew, right, that if, I don't know if you viewers catch this, but in every envelope except his, it was just a blank note card. But his was like a piece of paper. So he didn't correlate that, because he hadn't seen what a blank one looked like, which would have been, but as soon as Aaron saw that, he sent that to the Solid Six group chat and was like, Derek is the vote. And from that point forward, the week was pretty kind of like that until the Friday before.
Right. Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. So basically what ended up happening after the meet and greet was, Luke introduced the season, and then what ended up happening was he said, we're going to actually decide tribes by a schoolyard style pick. So we had a girl and a guy, which ended up being Megan and Eli, and they volunteered to basically be the leaders or the representatives for the tribes, and they were going to pick essentially back and forth who they wanted on their tribes. And since we had 18 people, 9 people on each tribe.
What if that had been a double elimination? Like the 2 people that stepped forward were automatically eliminated.
That would have been insane.
That would have cut the time of our season in half.
I know.
And because something I think viewers don't realize is that college Survivor goes on forever. If your tribals are not, like, if you don't have 2 tribals a week, oh my God.
Basically, think our season was basically as long as Big Brother, like a normal Big Brother season. So that's long. That is really long.
You think it was longer? As long as?
It was as long as probably, I'd say, like Big Brother 21 or 20 or season 19. All Stars right now is a bit different, so it's not the same length. But yeah, our season went from basically January to April, so it was a decent length of time. And we were also in the mixture of the pandemic, so that kind of affected things as well, which we'll talk more about later in the season, of course.
Yeah. And then we see Megan and Eli stepping up as captains, which in my head, I'm like, oh my God, like who in their right mind would put themselves, but like who would put themselves out there like that? And then I proceed to, I don't know, be me, and put myself out there. But like, but to assume, like, I mean, it's been done before in Survivor, but to assume that kind of responsibility for your tribe in a way. What do you think, Geneva?
I mean, I personally did not raise my hand. I did not want to put any unnecessary target on my back. I already felt a little bit paranoid as a graduate student going to play with a bunch of undergrads, especially because I think a lot of the people on the cast were 18 and 19 years old, and I was 25. So I knew that I had
to know that.
I know, but I just needed to blend in some way, in some capacity, to make myself seem, I guess not stick out. So I was like, I would not
as successful and as beautiful and as perfect as you, right? Like right? Because if they know this great success that you are, they might feel a little like insecure about that.
Right. And I didn't want that. So I just stayed quiet. And that is why we did not see much of me in the first episode, because I didn't really say much. But that's okay. Yeah. It's fine.
And something I noticed tonight is that I didn't realize that Eli picked Summer first. So I thought that was neat. And then I was like, oh, Megan picked Austin first. It's just something that you don't remember when you're thinking back. Like, I didn't remember the order. I just remember, like, I got picked. And then Mitch and Aaron, like, made big deal out of being picked last. And
possible final two? But I guess not now, because one, they got put on two separate tribes, and as we find out at the very end of the episode, Aaron is the first one voted out. So that unfortunately cannot happen. But I thought that was funny, that saying. And
the bromance.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And as we saw, Hannah, she got picked. She mentioned how, oh, I never get picked. So, and then Megan's like, Hannah. And I was like,
and when I think back to that moment and I go, oh, you, Hannah, you idiot. But then I watched it tonight and I was like, oh, I was a little more sincere than I it didn't come off too, it wasn't that terrible, but yeah. And then we get picked and then we come up with our names. You guys go Maroon 9.
Yes. So
right?
the reasoning for that was, we had, well, at first they were calling it red, but clearly our bandanas or buffs were actually maroon. So first of all, we called ourselves Maroon for that. And then there were 9 of us. So Maroon 9, kind of like a play off of Maroon 5, but there were 9 of us. So 9. So that's what the meaning of our name was.
I see. Our tribe, Zeleny, went right to Google Translate and came up with something. It was snake or green. It was like green or snake in another language. And then we had it, and then we looked over and we were like, oh, so that like, I don't know. We didn't have the same like tone as far as naming tribes. Like, we could have gone for something more contemporary, or English.
Yeah, a lot of us were very confused on what your tribe's name was. We even heard Luke say some variation of pronunciation. There were variations of spelling throughout the season of your tribe's name.
There was a learning curve, and even I, who was on the tribe, I spelled it with an I, but then they spelled it with a Y. So it was just and this is what it is. And then what's next? We pick our tribes. We have the challenge. We have the first half classic Survivor challenge, just in a smaller way. I tell my tribe, I'm like, I just watched this happen in the Philippines. Denise and Malcolm, like, they totally, like, this is how you do it. Zeleny wins. But wait, there's more.
But also, so one thing to say is, like, for the first part, Zeleny got 5 points. Maroon 9 got 4. So Zeleny was slightly in the lead. But the one thing that was interesting too was I think people on my side picked it up after because actually Hannah and I did a matchup, but I was more focused on like Hannah and not the cup. So then the cup just dropped. So that was kind of weird. But, you know, I think people picked up that situation up and try to do equal focus on the person and the cup. And so then we saw, you know, the matchup continue.
I think the key to that challenge was really, it's not about your cup falling. It's about their cup falling first. So it was kind of like, oh, what do you call it? I don't know. You just went in there, you went for it. And sometimes it didn't work out and sometimes it did. But then we have the part 2 to the challenge, which probably the cringiest thing that I've ever done.
Well, technically that's part 3 of the challenge. Technically part 2
was 2.
Yes, part 2 was the sketches.
Part 2 was sketches, which everyone thought meant drawing. They did not think it was a little skit, but it was. And then Geneva, do you want to talk about what it was like to do?
Yeah. So they showed a little bit of footage of the sketch situation, but basically how Luke had described both challenges was for the sketch challenge, basically you had to do your scene entirely in one take and you had about 20 minutes and then you had to airdrop the link to production and then production was going to project it on the screen and then the judges would vote and give their scores. So the prompt we were given was essentially that it was going to be a love story. So with the love story idea, I was talking with the girls. So basically it was me, Daisy, Abby, and Summer. And so we were talking about the challenge and someone had brought up, you know, Up and got inspired by Up. So we used the Up music as our background music. And as you saw, like Daisy and I went from being like babies playing in the sand and like to, you know, hurt.
I mean,
yeah,
it's a pretty wholesome moment of the season. I think it'll go down it was pretty cute. And yeah, I would have loved to do that. And then
didn't like it. But
and then we see Zeleny like doing the boys on Zeleny whipping up some kind of sketch, and then we go to the singing portion. And so Zeleny, my team, we do the Bruno Mars song, and then the boys of Maroon 9, because there's 5 of them, do a Backstreet Boys. So, and then we do a little acapella. Honestly, I muted the part. I did not listen to it. And because I buffered a couple times while watching this broadcast tonight, and I skipped past it because I was not about to.
Hannah, it wasn't as bad as you think it was. It was fine. It was good. It was good.
I didn't watch our acapella performance or listen to Maroon 9, the Maroon 9 boys again. And my mom even texted me because I'm like, hey, go watch me in Syrvivor Syracuse. And she goes, those boys can't sing. So,
you know what? I can say that I really begged. I really wanted to sing. You guys don't know how badly.
Oh my God! Like if Geneva should it. I mean, I think what ended.
No, I think what they did.
I think it won.
Because I think it was the whole boy band aesthetic. That was the whole point. And I'm glad that the 5 boys did it because literally it was so enjoyable to me that I Want It That Way was stuck in my head for 2 months. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I was just singing it on repeat.
Who do you think had the most star power out of that boy band group?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, I feel like, you know, I think as you could tell, I think Nassan was doing his own thing a few times. So like, I think he was trying to show that, you know, he shouldn't be undervalued. Like, he's individual. But, you know, I think also, I know Eli has done a lot of performing. So I know he helped orchestrate a lot of that choreography and performance. And even the judges know that they could tell that one or two people were probably behind the performance itself. But I loved it. The choreography is great. They literally come in, they put down the papers. They're like, we are ready. We are going to perform. And that is what truly won us that challenge. And I'm glad that they did it. I just wish that I was able to sing, just because in college I was in an a cappella group. I did choir in college. Like, I've been singing for years. So it was a little disappointing from that sense, but it was fun to do, like, the acting sketch challenge.
I would have loved you to have been able to sing. I would have gladly passed. But my tribe needed me. You gotta be a team player. I will say, Dem Boys, it's all about stage presence. It's all about taking the room in life and in Syrvivor. Yeah, and they really sold it to the beanie judges. Yeah. Yes. And then, so Maroon 9 wins. Zeleny is going to tribal. A humiliating defeat. No, it wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, and then, yeah, and then we see a group of 6 go to Chipotle. 3 of that tribe do not. And that kind of informs the rest of the week. And then we kind of know what happens from there on out. Yeah.
So I think some of the interesting things that happened between that time, I think because this was the first loss for Zeleny, this was the moment where Luke was like, hey, everybody, I'm going to give you all the secret envelopes, and one of you is going to get the snake in your envelope. So basically, we saw a lot of confessionals from people on the tribe. So, Aaron found out he wasn't the snake. Erica found out she wasn't the snake, was bummed they didn't win. Hannah talked a bit about how she was nervous about the singing, but, the things that they did a pretty good job. It was funny how she mentioned, she's been taking lessons for a while because of her career, drama and everything. I just thought that confessional was funny, but I know
Geneva.
No, I thought it was funny, but it is important. It is important as an actor. They, as you are continuing to make sure that you can stand out as a performer, you have to have a variety of talents. So I completely get it.
Absolutely.
Now, one thing I want to mention that Hannah brought up too was that on her tribe, there were 5 guys and 4 girls.
Yes. So we saw that in both tribes. So that would mean 10 guys and 8 ladies
I think that sounds about right.
In the season. And yeah, which is, we see an online reality. Like, there's always probably a gender gap in most, college survivors, online reality games. That's just how it works. But that was an irrational fear from the get-go. Did you feel that seeing the tribe makeup? Obviously you won, so you probably weren't thinking about that.
It was a thought. I think it does come up more in future episodes, so I won't talk about it more specifically now. But I can say that
we saw that one. We saw that one summer vlog where she actually spoke about said something about aligning with girls versus guys.
Right. So instantly we saw the split with our challenge, which I think was more prominent than on your tribe. You guys had a mix of what was going on there for girls and guys in your a cappella performance. But for us, the girls did the acting, the guys did the a cappella. And it's already clearly apparent that there are 5 guys, 4 girls. How's that going to come into play in the season? I knew that I really wanted to work with the girls. And so I really enjoyed working, at least doing the scene with Summer and Daisy, and Abby was filming and she did a great job with the transitions and everything, because obviously it was one take. So we had to figure out, how do we make this interesting, even though this is a one take, we can't edit. So I think we really worked well together as a team. And I was like, I really do want to get to know these girls a bit more and continue to work with them. But I did fear that this could be a concern if we were to go to a tribal. But I know that was a concern for you, and I don't know. I guess you can talk more about how that came to play with this tribal. Not sure if it did as much. But.
Well, yeah, I just didn't want to be voted out simply because I was a woman, and especially because, right? they're gonna vote out the good television woman before they vote out like the quiet one. Like they're gonna vote someone like me, or like I think we saw from the first episode that that some of us are more, some of us have different personalities or more vocal than others. And that's just something that you can't, like, it affects gameplay, obviously. And so I was just afraid that off of first impression that, like, if they're just going to vote out a girl, like, they're more likely to vote out me. But I think once I went to Chipotle, I don't think that was a concern from there on out. And with my conversations with people over that week, I really wasn't concerned after that. And I felt very safe going into that first tribal.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, we actually, like, when Luke at tribal asked, like, who feels in danger, who's not feeling safe, I didn't really see Hannah raise her hand. So
yeah, I just went. Also, I had some cute. I was serving some cute looks this episode. I was like, yeah.
No, I think you had some. I think you had some good. You had some good style this season. I really enjoyed that, and so I can't wait for people to see a bit more of it in the coming episodes. So I guess also, so that happened, and we talk about, I guess, the solid six, or the Chipotle group. I don't know. There were a couple names that I heard in there, and how Derek, Addie, and Noah were not able to attend, but you guys didn't want to hold that against them. But still, it was clear that there was still, like, well, they weren't there.
Yeah, so. I mean, I think in Survivor, you say what you gotta say, right? Some things you tell half truths and half lies, and you're like, yeah, like I feel bad. Like, I'm not going to judge you completely on that, but I'm still going to vote you out. Like, right. It's, we're not judging them because they didn't show up that night. But it's definitely easier when you have majority to stick with majority, which was the challenge this week. It's like, when the vote is decided so early on in the week, it's a little like, okay, what next? Right? If people get bored, people get ideas. And that's not always best. Like, I think the thing with these games is you have to constantly be on top of your people so they don't get any thoughts, because, like I said, if they're bored, they're going to start thinking, and things can change fast. The entire Aaron vote happened, on a Friday night. Before tribal. So that entire, and then 3 of those votes that made the 8 happened at tribal council. They were told to vote for Aaron on the spot, and they did. And he went home 8-1,
which is quite crazy. Yeah, and then some other little things that happened in between Aaron getting voted out. We saw Maroon 9, because they won immunity. A lot of us got the idol clue text from Luke. So we saw Andrew checking near her chapel and looking at near
the Ernie Davis statue.
So, and it's interesting because a lot of the clue kind of alluded to things that involved, like, vines and things sprouting up. And so that was one of the places I was thinking it could have been. And then Daisy was thinking maybe Hall of Languages. And so Daisy went. And so that was also part of the episode as well. We heard, like, Hannah mentioned Summer was talking about her relationships in the game. She felt really great that Eli picked her first, and she felt close with me, Daisy, and Abby, and plans on talking to more people throughout the week. And she was also interested in talking to Mitch as well, which she mentioned. So, yeah. In addition, Eli also said he was getting close to Jack and Andrew. And, he noticed at first we were behind, but, we pulled it through and we won the challenge. And we also see Austin reflect a bit on not being the snake. He actually seemed like he was very intrigued by it and wanted to potentially snake.
He was vlogging and he was like, "Oh, damn, I wanted to be the snake." And I
was like, what? This is not what I was expecting.
Okay, and I think after a few go-arounds, like maybe because like especially if you're getting bored within the game, but like on the first episode, you're like, damn, like I didn't get it. Like that's fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't want any excuse for anyone to find to vote me out, so I wouldn't want to be the snake first. So I don't know.
And to have the choice whether to lie to people right off the bat, like can you do that successfully, and can you stick around? It's just
yeah. And then as we know, Derek was a snake. It was funny. He's like, I will cry if I become the snake. And then he became the snake. He was the first snake in Survivor history. And, we know about that exchange with Aaron and Derek, and Aaron finding out that Derek is the snake and he lied about it. And that caused so much drama. Derek folded a piece of computer paper in comparison to everybody else who had this white index card. And I think Noah mentioned a confessional. He could have gone to a nearby Walgreens and bought an index card or something. So I thought that was pretty funny. One thing I thought was very interesting that Derek said is his friend overheard Addie talking about
that was so funny.
Addie and the others were gonna vote out Derek at Tribal.
I was like, because that's just one of those things that as a cast, you when you get further on, you like learn certain things or you talk about certain things, but that's something that I don't think any of us knew happened. So that was a little discovery of the night, and go, oh, Addie blew it. But it's not like Derek could do anything now.
Right.
Anyway,
it's really interesting to hear how outside conversations with friends can also affect the game as well, because wow, who knows? Derek would have maybe never known, and maybe that also things could have happened where Derek could have been the first one out. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, and I don't know if our viewers know anything about Syracuse University, but there's different colleges. A lot of these season's players major, they come from the Newhouse School of Communications. And so they're all in the same building for most of the week, for most of their classes. And so they're constantly running into each other at Newhouse. While I don't think you, Geneva, or I really had those problems because we were not connected in that way because of our programs. Like I was, my place of studies was very, very far off. I was not going to run into anyone at any time, although I had time where I could hike it over to the library or somewhere to meet someone. Yeah,
a lot of my academic spaces too, I think, were restricted for particular grad programs. So a lot of the study spaces I hung out in, there was really no way for people outside of my program to access it. So people wouldn't necessarily interact with me that much. Maybe on occasion I would run into people on campus, but I didn't really cross paths with people as much. So that was definitely something. So one thing I wanted to also talk about that happened before Tribal was that roundtable discussion with the six, Erica, Megan, Aaron, Mike, Austin, and you. And I saw you were like down, like trying to fit in the frame.
But yeah, so that was a meetup in the library. We got a room. I was like, you guys should write something on the board. And then a kind of pecking order came out of Aaron's fingertips. And so what more were you curious about?
Well, I just thought it was interesting. And when we looked at behind the board, we saw you guys had my tribe listed, all those people. You had your tribe listed, and it looked like, certain people who are going to get ready to vote out soon. So I thought that was just very interesting to see visually.
Yeah, it was. And I think visual representations are important in in college Syrvivor, especially we have wonderful camera quality, but it is great to give, especially if you don't have as much time to get to know every castaway. It's great to have a visual representation of what is going on, and then you can pause and like, oh, yeah. So in that moment, it was funny because we all got together, sat down, and then it was like, okay, we're voting out Derek. Okay, bye. Like like everyone hiked across campus, came to the library, came together, and then it was over. So that in itself was a little funny. Yeah, but it was so early in the game. It's like, what is there to talk about? Like you're just extrapolating at that point, and it's fun to just go on and on about like what if, or things you could do, or dig about information from the other tribe. But like at the end of the day, like you can't do everything in one day.
Yeah. And then there were like maybe 2 more conversations I wanted to talk about. So I thought it was interesting to see Mike and Austin's conversation. They talked a bit about how
well, it's funny because I couldn't hear at some point, so I kind of want to go back. But when Austin was like, yeah, like it was so fun to watch this, and then hear like, oh yeah, like I really trust Hannah, or like whatever. I was like, yee! We'll see how long that lasts, but like it's fun to like hear your name in other people's mouths.
Yeah. And they talked a bit about no, yeah, absolutely. I think it's always good to hear positive things. And I think, they talked a little about Jack and how he was they noticed he was a super fan or a huge fan of the show. And so I think he was on their radar. They talked a little bit about Mitchell, who's on my tribe, because Hannah had told them some stuff about Mitchell, apparently. Yeah, so
it's funny because I had met with Austin, was one of the first people I think I met with. I told Austin lots of things, and then I think that conversation was really Austin delivering news to Mike. And so it's interesting to see, what we do see of all the vlogs, because obviously there's not enough room for all of them. But who is delivering the information, who is stirring shit up, who is really initiating that stuff, and that is really telling, who you see on the screen saying certain things, and who they say, like if they're saying, oh, Hannah said this, Hannah said this, Hannah said this, or Derek said this, or Aaron said this, that's a clear, like if a name keeps coming up and up, like that's a clear indication of, it's not enough to just be like, oh, so-and-so's running things. Like, someone's running things if they're the sort, like if they're like the linchpin, like the connection between everyone, the middleman. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, I just thought it was an interesting
Mike and Austin, bonding. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought it was an interesting conversation. I'm interested to see how their, I guess, relationship in the game evolves from that first major conversation it looks like they had. They did talk about Aaron too, and they think that Aaron seems to be loyal to the group, but he could be concerning moving forward. So I guess it seems that people took action on that a bit earlier. So even though Aaron seemed to just want to be there to be friends and support people were like, well, we do see Aaron could be a threat. Aaron had a lot of information regarding Derek, and he seemed to be, talking to a lot of people. So I can see how people might have thought that was, a reason to come after Aaron.
Well, I think something that the viewers didn't see is that I met up with Aaron, and in my conversations, I referenced that conversation or that meetup with Aaron a lot. And that's something we didn't see in tonight's episode, and how Aaron and I spoke to one another or communicated within the same space, and some of the things that he said before after that meeting went on to be reasons for the votes that we saw.
Yeah. That definitely makes sense. And so, was there any other details you wanted to bring up about tribal or the 24 hours prior to tribal? Because, I think that you being the swing vote in that situation was very integral. Addie had a bit of involvement there, but she wasn't present she and Megan weren't present actually at
I think it was very interesting because so obviously you saw me in the first seconds, active. The middle chunk was really vlogs of everyone else in Zeleny. So I liked that I got to see everyone else's face and everyone else's input. But I think something that was missing, they included the vlog of me being like, oh, I'm the swing vote. I got da. But the edit can really shed light, like can really shape who you think initiated that move. And so what happened, it was either Thursday or Friday, where Addie and I get on a FaceTime. We talk about how we feel. And we go, what if? What if we did Aaron? What if we did Aaron tomorrow? And I'm like, no. And Addie's, whoa, dude, what if is a little tempting, right? It's tempting as someone who wants to make moves to, like, when you have an opportunity to have fun, to do something crazy, to take out someone you'd rather have out, like, will you take it? And I think that informed a lot. And then once the decision was made to do that, Friday night was contacting all the parts. And I think before I even made the decision for myself, I think I went to Megan. So I think the beautiful thing about this first episode is that I went from, in the first 20 seconds of what the episode, I go, Megan has to go. And then the end, and by the end of the week, I'm meeting with Megan and I'm like, what do you want? Like, what do we want to do? Because we're in this together. Because I feel like we're in the same spot. As far as this, like, we're in similar spots as far as the 6. Because I didn't want to flip on the solid 6 unless she was down. Yeah.
No, that doesn't make sense.
And we wouldn't have had the numbers if it would have, because there was a tie. A tie was not an option, right?
Yeah, because there's
do that. You could have just sent home Derek and gotten an advantage for the challenge. Yeah, but that Friday night, it was like Derek, Colleen, Colleen Derek, Colleen Noah, Colleen Addie, Colleen, like, it was a constant. And then it was Addie, do we tell Austin, Erica, and Mike? Mm-hmm. And that's the big thing. I think we'll see more from the next episode that we were missing here is the decision to tell them at Tribal.
Right. Yeah, because we saw you to Mike.
Because Megan and Addie were not there. Megan couldn't take the fall for this. I was right. I was the only member of the 6 that made that, right? That knew about that was there. And I told them, if you saw, there's one little snippet of me leaning over and talking to Mike, and then Aaron talks about, well, they were whispering and blah, blah, blah. Like, so as soon as Aaron gets, like, Noah or Aaron get up to go and vote, I turn over and I say, do you trust me? And I go to Austin and I say, vote for Aaron. And then I do the same with Erica and I do the same with Mike. And I said, I'll explain everything afterward. And so that's what we're going to see next episode, is kind of the response and the damage control, so to speak, because I don't think anyone likes to get to Tribal and then have someone flip their vote last minute, right?
No.
I think everyone would prefer going into Tribal knowing who's going to go home and feeling okay, right? Because that's to have something happen at Tribal like that is just a little like,
yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. But that's as far as what happened with that. But
yeah,
but the vote was 8-1, but it didn't matter if Austin, Erica, or Mike had voted for Aaron, because he would have gone home anyway, obviously. But it was cool tonight to see that they did actually vote for that everyone actually voted for him, because
Yeah.
we don't, as players, we don't know. We can only take some of the word for it, because as we saw, like if the host doesn't show all the votes, it's not like we can go, hey Luke, what was the vote count? Right? That's
Luke's
not how it
tell us that.
like,
Yeah.
no, like, what were the last vote? Like, could you, right? But I think in my mind I was like, oh, this is a great way to test them. Which we'll see if that pays off. That
Absolutely.
would be right. Yeah, and the tribal itself, Blizzard, and then that's it for episode 1, and then a foreshadow of the season to come.
Yeah, which should be very interesting. I'm interested to see what will happen next episode. I'm sure that, I guess this will be the point where Derek will probably potentially choose to reveal himself. Maybe we'll see.
Oh, right, because he has to claim the Because
we'll see if that
goes, otherwise it goes to the other tribes. So that would not be a good look. So we'll see what he does. And then hopefully in future weeks we will be able to get some of our fellow castaways on to join us.
Castaways. We have Hannah and I also have friends from an online gaming community. We've played in Cold Sequester. Also have some friends in the RHAP class of 2020. So I will have a lot of us and variety of people who will come on to talk about the season with us. We just figured this would be a great way to debrief what we experienced over, about 9 months ago, and talk a bit about the season, because I think one thing about playing a game like Syrvivor or, in College Syrvivor is, you can talk to a couple people, your friends that are surrounding you, but you're kind of alone, especially considering I didn't know anybody going into the season. So I didn't know who I could trust. I did, at times feel stressed, overwhelmed, but there are certain people I just didn't know what I could say or couldn't say to other people and where the information would go. So I think it's nice that I can finally talk about a bit as we go on what happened and how we were.
I'm looking to breaking down. So seeing those confessionals, seeing what other people actually thought, what their motivations were, because after the game, you're like, what? Or after people do certain things, you're like, what was it? Or you do things and you're like, why did I do that? So it's fun to go back and figure it out, or hear from them today about have they changed? What has this experience done for them? It'll be interesting to see who comes on.
Chelsea, you are more than welcome to come on in the future, and you are our friend and we love you very much. And so basically I think we've come to a close into talking about episode 1 of season 2 of Survivor Syracuse Snakes and Secrets. As we saw, the name of the episode was titled based off of a Hannah quote. So
I said, is this something I said? And then I saw the vlog and I went, I said that. So that was very exciting for me. I was like, I got the episode title.
Yes. Thank you so much for the support in the comments. We appreciate that you were rooting for us. It's awesome. So before we close, I want to put up the social media accounts of us and also the Survivor Syracuse, because that is what brought Hannah and I together in the first place. You can be sure to follow Survivor Syracuse at Syrvivor_Qs on Twitter. You can follow Survivor Syracuse or at Syrvivor_Syracuse on Instagram. There are a lot of updates posted there. They have all the cast profiles there. On YouTube, you also still have the preseason interviews. I mean, I don't know if they're as relevant to you guys anymore, but if you're curious where our heads were at for playing in the season, you can watch those. And as you're here, Be sure to like, comment, and share this video. I appreciate those who came to watch and who plan to watch in the coming days. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. Peace, love, Jen. I'm sorry I've been on a hiatus for so long, but I am looking forward to bringing you so much more content. The mixture of my master's program, being in law school now, and then being involved in, Sequester, Podquester, all of these things, Survivor Syracuse. That's probably where I was really spending most of my time. But now I have a bit more time, kind of ish, I don't know, that sort of thing. And now you can also follow my dear friend Hannah here.
Yeah. Follow me on Twitter.
Yes.
And then we'll tune in next week and we'll see what next week's episode brings. Who's going to be next? Zeleny? Maroon 9?
Will we become Maroon 8? I don't know. We'll find out next week. I'm not sure. And then you, of course, can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel for more updates. I hope to bring you all more content soon. And you can also follow our chat goddess, Chelsea. Please do it. Appreciate it. I appreciate her. I appreciate all the support. And we hope that you have a lovely weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.